All right, welcome to week 50. It's been an eventful week here at Agentuity. We had our V1 launch this week. If you haven't seen anything about that, go check all of our socials, website, etc. We put together a really great launch video. It's almost like an hour long, packed full of content, really cool testimonials and input from different people in the industry. So definitely go check that out here on our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We've got a few people out this week, a lot of travel going on. We've got Partik over in Pennsylvania for a hackathon. Jeff's flying all around the country, so a pretty small crew this week. But I'll go ahead and kick us off here. And we'll start with sandboxes here. Up to this point, we've had sort of a really minimal version of creating a sandbox in the UI. We kind of assumed you're mostly going to be doing it through the CLI. That was like the first pass of what we were doing. And now we're starting to add some of that functionality here into the UI. So if you go create a sandbox now, similar to the form that we currently have, you get your name, description. You can select a snapshot. You can also select a runtime. So I'll pick, Claude Code. I got my region here. Obviously, I'm running this locally, so it's just local dev. But now we got some more stuff. We still got the resource things, but now we also have the ability to switch the execution mode that you want to run in. So you can do interactive, or you can do a one shot with interactive. You get this nice option for timeout. If you do one shot, the option goes away. You still got the network access as well. We'll continue. You can now do a startup command. You can define that. You can also add dependencies by default now. So if I type in pandas, it's going to go make sure it's a valid dependency. I can do numpy. I do toolbar or something, and then that one's going to error out. So package not found. We also have it now where the runtime that you pick and the snapshot that you pick may also come with environment variables that it's expecting. So we're reading those in now, and we're going to prompt you for those. For runtime, some of them might be marked as required or not. So in this case, we picked the Claude Code runtime. So the Anthropic API key is going to be required here. We're going to be working on having this instead just use the gateway at some point. So it's going to prompt you for all these different things. You can, of course, add your own as well, just like usual. But a cool new addition we have here is, you can set global environments for your organization, right? So you want to set your org's, X API key or your Anthropic API key, et cetera. So we have this new option. You'll see this everywhere coming soon, wherever we have environment variables, like on the projects, et cetera. You can map this to one of your org's global variables. So I'll click this, and it's going to switch you from a free text input to a select. And now you can pick one of your org level variables. And so that's just going to map it. In this case, it's a secret. So, automatically forces it to be a secret. It's not going to change it, et cetera. Or you could do another one that's not a secret, and you have the option for that. So last thing you got here is you can also go ahead and immediately instantiate and load up files when you do this. So you can just, click here and drop an image in or whatever, sort of attachments you want, especially for like the one shots, right? And then you can go ahead and create your sandbox. So a lot more optionality and functionality coming soon in the web app. I'm going to switch over now. This is not a product demo. This is a little side project demo. Wanted to try out some new techniques and new things over the past weekend. So use the great new Agentuity coder that we've been working on to come up with a really quick Agentuity project. What this does is it's going to, every single day, it's going to go through a list of your competitors or just, even friendlies, if you want to monitor other people in the same space that you're in or things like that. It's going to go and look at their sitemap.xml and see what the delta is from one day to the next. And it's going to use AI to sort of summarize what those changes are. And it will alert you if there's anything interesting that's been going on. It's going to give it to you here in the dashboard, but it's also going to send you an email every morning. So it's pretty cool. So we'll go in the settings. You can see here, me and Rick are just playing around with this a little bit. So we've got our notification emails in here. And we've got the sitemap URLs for everyone that we want to just see what other people are doing, see what other cool stuff is being built by people. And we've got our notification sensitivity set here. And if we go to the history, you'll see the first time you run this, it's just a baseline. Obviously, there's no delta the first time you run it. So it's going to get a baseline that first time that you modify who you're tracking. And then from that point forward, every day at 6 a.m., it's going to do this analysis. So you'll see here, there were 16 notable changes from people in the sort of AI space. going to give you a summary of what all happened. It's even going to show you all the different pages, and you can click on it and open those links and go see what people are up to. So yeah, pretty cool. The other nice little thing about this is too, this is actually like a publicly available URL. So, I can share it with somebody and they can access it without having to log in, because this does use Agenttuity auth by default. So if you want to scoop the URL, you can go hit it and start playing with it yourself. Otherwise, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time polishing this thing up, getting it ready, and then we'll probably do a tweet or something, and we'll open source this repo. So that's it for me. Over to Gabe.
All right, thank you, Matt. I'm here to show like a sneak peek into something that I've been working on. A small history behind this. This is what I was technically hired here for. This was an ongoing project that I was working at like a year ago. Was the idea that like Golang backends are pretty weird on the sense that Golangs give you all the freedom to do whatever you want, but at the point that you start scaling up your backend, right, you want more type safety, you want more assurance that an endpoint is gonna return something sane. So my whole point was like, okay, how about we do type safe backends for Golang? Things like you can declare like here in this case, this is like my minimum example in this repo. You can declare like your response types, your request types, and then you just declare your handlers with the response type and the request type. And then you can just do like request JSON, and you're gonna get like the proper type here. So like, for example, this one is returning a pointer to a greeting request, which is this here. And doing the inside part of this, I'm building this still. It's gonna do like all the validation, all that stuff, and it's gonna like be able to allow you to just return an error in this case and just tell that it's not valid. It also does this. I have another project here. It also does parameter parsing. Like Golang, a lot of the projects have like a lot of boilerplate code for like checking if an ID exists, checking if that ID is like a string, and then parsing that string into a number, and then it's like a bunch of stuff. Here you can do just like, on like a single line, and it will error out everywhere. It's like, oh, I changed it like this to a number now. So now it's like the delete now requires me to, pass a string. And so you have these errors all happening during development instead of making your app run, then hitting all these errors because something is defined as, a struct, like a generic struct, and then everything breaks and then you have no idea. I'm still working on this. It's alpha versions. Like I got the basics working. I'm not saying that I was not working on this for a year, because I was, but Golang's type system was so broken for a whole year that it took them literally 2 major versions and 4 patch versions to make this work, which is just their built-in generics like that were not working. But that's pretty much what I'm working on. It's been fun to have this. I don't know if we're going to be using this internally at some point. Jeff commented to me that he was fond of the idea of having this. But yeah, that's for me. Now to Rick.
All right. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I've done a bunch of stuff this week, but I think the things I'll focus on are on the Coder plugin. So if you haven't been following along, we have this open code plugin we use internally, which is a set of agents that help us with building stuff internally, it's been fantastic. So I've added a bunch of stuff this week. The first thing is you can now an open code. And by the way, if you haven't tried it, you can try it. Everybody can try it because it's in our SDK. So you can run Agenttuity AI, open code install, and install the plugin, or you can go to the npm package and install it that way too. But anyway, so one of the things I added was a share. The open code has its own share, but it's different than our share because we have the way we track memory is through key value in the vector services that we have. So in your org, we automatically, as you're using open code, save it to key value and save it to vector. So the memory agent in the plugin can look up what's going on and what does it know about the code you're working on and that kind of stuff, which is cool. So anyway, there's this new / command called memory share. So what it does is it looks through your entire context and then agentically writes out what actually you can even give it a prompt like pull out the stuff about Robin and his bad code. And it'll go through and it'll literally like agentically like look blame and try to figure out all his stuff that's related to this session. But then once you do that, it gives you this share URL down here, and which uses our durable streams, which is kind of cool. And then now you have this URL. And so the way I've used this is I get these shared things and I send it to somebody or even myself for later, and I can drop it into another coding agent. So that's what's useful is like it not only is it a memory that's shared in the organization, but then I have it in this way too, and I can pass it to something. So that's super useful. Another thing that we've added is, see if I can find it. So in the coder plugin for Open Code, we have this agent called Expert. And so Expert is all about agentuity, right? It knows everything about agentuity. Well, it got really long. And so I broke it up where Expert is like this main agent and it has sub agents for the back end, the front end, ops. And so then it knows like, hey, when we're talking about a certain package, like the Drizzle package or the agentuity React hooks or whatever, it knows which sub agent to hand off to. And then that thing will go through and help you with the specific thing you're working on. Of course, the plugin knows how to look up our docs and knows agents MD and the skills and all that. But some of that stuff, if you haven't played with enough, you'll notice that some of that stuff is hit or miss. So doing it this way actually is much more accurate. So anyway, I broke it up into these sub agents that get pulled in for specific domain knowledge, and actually it works really well. So that's another thing I did this week. Another one is, so we have the lead that is the main orchestrator that runs a whole session in Open Code. But now I've got it to where it'll spin up multiple other Open Code sessions, so other leads. So it's kind of like the lead of leads. So it's cool because the way Open Code works, it's a client server architecture. So you can, when you're running Open Code, you're running client and server, unless you run Open Code server. But what it can do is it can spin up another session completely separate. You can even do it in another sandbox, and it's running, and then this one lead is watching and pinging and managing it. So it's really cool. So you can spin up multiple sessions and different work streams is what it's called. It works pretty well. And then I revamped the memory system. Probably won't talk about that. Oh, and then let me just kind of show you. I'm just going to run Claude, and then we'll run it with this thing. So this is what I worked on today. So now Coder exists in Claude Code as well. So it's not released yet, probably released over the weekend. But now you get Agentuity Coder, you get our flavor of the Ralph Wiggum loop as well, Cadence, the long running thing. And so when you do that, when you use that, it's the same thing. You get the same set of agents, the same skill sets, but it's made for Claude Code, because Claude Code's a little different how they manage things. Some things are better than Open Code actually, and then some things are not as good. But it's custom for that, and it works really, really, really well. I've been using it all day today. That's all I've been using is just Claude Code with this plugin, and it works great. So that's coming out here soon. And maybe the last thing is I prototyped out. So we have sandboxes, right? And so you can run. Matt was showing it from the UI. You can run from the CLI, and of course the SDK as well. And when you create a sandbox, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. All sorts of stuff, the size of the sandbox, permissions, does it have network access, which runtime, yada, yada, yada. But we need like a thinner layer for just coding agents in sandboxes. And so the prototype I was messing with was, see if I can find it. So Coder sandbox, I'm going to run it in the 2E mode. What it does is it wraps our sandbox stuff and makes it simple. This will eventually be in the SDK and CLI, but the point is I can quickly spin up a bunch of coding instances. So I can say Claude Code, write me a fizzbuzz.ts. And I can make another one, write me a hello world.ts. And then I can make another one. These are all sandboxes. I'll do Open Code this time. Write me a OOP fizzbuzz.ts. That sounds amazing. So now they're all running, right? And so at you'll see them disappear as they're spinning down. Like those two just got done. I can hit T and these are done. So I can like go into the logs real quick and see how this is Okay, there, it's done, right? Which is cool. It'll automatically download the files. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's the open code one that's still running, so I can actually shell into it right from here. Again, you can do this with the CLI today, so you can do it, but it's just quicker. It's really fast. You can imagine you trying to run 100 different agents. You probably need something a little quicker. Actually, I'm in the sandbox right now, and I can run open code and see how it's doing. So let's see what you're doing here. OOP, there it is. It just wrote an OOP divisibility rule. Enterprise Java people are going to love that. All right. So anyway, so that's pretty much done. I think that thing, open code takes a little bit longer for the thing to wrap up. But what happens is when this runs, it will download the source code of the sandbox automatically. And so why this matters is if you have this simple wrapper around it and the coding agent knows to run this to do things, it spins off, hey, I'm the lead of leads, like in our open code plugin, and I need to spin off 5 teams to do something, and they spin off 100 different sandboxes to write a bunch of code. All the code needs to be somehow coming back to the main guy, right? So what happens is this will download all the code from all those sandboxes automatically, and then that main coding agent, the orchestrator, then can stitch together the things that need to be stitched together from the different teams, resolve conflicts, all that kind of stuff, all in this this thing. So again, this is from one, this is from another, and this is from, actually, I'm curious, is he done yet? Let's see. Are you done yet? Open code's still running. What's going on, man? It's taking forever. Man, when I said write an OOP FizzBuzz, it was not joking. It's right in the Java version of it, huh? It's funny. All right. Anyway, when that's done, that file will be downloaded automatically anyway. So it's a prototype. There it is. It's done. Yay. Now let's look at it. Let's see what it did, huh? What did it do? There you go. Let's see what an enterprise FizzBuzz looks like. Divisibility rules. Sweet. Add rule, process, play. Man, I kind of want to say, like, if you were to ask this in an interview and someone did this, you should give them a job because this is very creative.
No, absolutely not.
It's amazing. I'm kind of disappointed there's not like these crazy OOP architectural patterns though. But whatever, yeah, it's close enough. Play and print. All right. Anyway, so the idea is we're going to have a much easier way on the sandbox. We can have a much easier way on the sandbox to spin up coding agents and then interact with them this way. So anyway, just a prototype I did this morning, just kind of thinking through some of the problems with managing a ton of agents across sandboxes. And honestly, agents managing agents across sandboxes. That's really what the use case is. So, all right. Anyway, that's it. I think that's it for me in this week. And look forward to seeing everybody next week. Ciao.
Ciao.